Good morning, afternoon, and evening, ladies and gentlemen. So, there's a couple things that we should talk about this week. It was a little bit of a quieter week.
Yeah, not a whole lot.
Not a lot of big moves, at least.
Still, Hoffman has not signed.
Hoffman, Duclair, Athanasiou, a lot of some solid middle, like guys with potential have not signed. Now, first off, before we go anywhere, there is a tribute we need to do, and that man is to the heart and soul of the Winnipeg Jets franchise, Dmitry Kulikov.
Do the last post.
No. And a moment of silence for our fallen turnover comrade. That is long enough. No, so Dmitry Kulikov, the best worst player in the National Hockey League. That's an accurate statement. He's not good, but if you compare him to literally the worst guy on every other team, he's probably the best. Except maybe Tampa.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kulikov signs with the New Jersey Devils for $1.15 million for 1 year. And his statistics are fun to look at because there's a lot of red in there. He's not good on the penalty kill. He doesn't play the power play. He doesn't shoot well. Goals for is not great. And even strength offensive impact, not really good. But yeah, so the Devils signed him for a year. I really think the Devils need defense because Mackenzie Blackwood is a solid top goaltender, but you'd never know that based on the way the Devils play.
Yeah.
Because the Devils are a smoldering tire fire in front of him. Yeah. Subban is not a defensive defenseman.
Oh, not at all.
Now, that being said, he wasn't that really good at being an offensive defenseman this year, but that's not...
Yeah.
That's by his own admission.
He's got a great podcast, though.
He does. You know what? That guy...
Ugly Duck Podcast?
The Ugly Duckling? Or is it... Duck?
I think it's just Ugly Duck.
Something like that. I really do... He really is such a good personality to have in the league.
Oh, he's a great character.
Yeah. It's unfortunate that his career has kind of struggled a little bit since that first year that he was in Nashville, but he really is a solid person.
At least he
it's one of those things where I think
something else to
if he doesn't get traded, I think his career still stays better in Montreal, because I think Montreal used him pretty well for the most part. But Nashville used him well for the first thing. He's a power play quarterback. He should not be on the PK unit. Having PK Subban on the PK unit is ironically terrible because his name is PK Subban.
Yeah.
But he can't play the PK.
Yeah, no.
But
I think it's funny when that trade first happened.
Which one?
The Weber for Subban, the Weber-Subban trade.
Oh, dude, that was the same day as the Hall trade.
Yeah, I remember. I remember there was something else that day, but it was the Hall for Larson trade. Oh boy, sheesh.
Hey! Before you get mad, Larson's still on the Oilers. Where the hell is Taylor Hall? 4 other teams. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. He's Taylor Hall. You shouldn't trade Taylor Hall unless your team is tanking, and you need the last year of a deal.
Yeah, but especially since if they never made that trade, maybe Hall would have stayed on the Oilers. You never know.
Okay, I saw a statistic that makes this look absolutely amazing. It talks about if the Oilers never made a trade under the Peter Chiarelli era. Do you realize who they'd have in their offensive system right now? They would have guys like Eberle, Hall, playing with Nugent Hopkins, Leon Draisaitl, Connor McDavid, and if they didn't trade away certain draft picks, they'd have Matt Barzal in there.
Now, to be fair, if they had those other players like Hall and Eberle, they probably would not have placed where they placed.
True.
So
I will say that.
So that pick would probably not be Matthew Barzal.
Maybe. Well, it depends.
I'm
Maggie
not-
Barzal was a little bit of a faller, I think, in his draft year. So he was in the same draft year, I think, as Kyle Connor. So there's a lot of talent to be given away at that time.
So they could have still picked up someone really good.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about
One thing I want to say about that Subban
Yeah.
Weber trade, when it first happened, and you saw the way that PK was in Nashville, it seemed like Nashville got a really good end of that trade.
well,
That they did pretty well
in the
and
short term.
That at that point in time they had they had won the trade, and a lot of people thought that because Weber was a bit older than Subban,
Yeah,
that
physical defenseman too.
that it would, in the long run, it would be a better trade for Nashville. However, it, for a weird reason, just PK is just kind of stopped. And Weber, even though he's a lot older, he's still been doing pretty all right.
Well, here's the thing.
And ever since PK got traded, his year that he got traded, before he got traded to the Devils, was not great. And then he got traded to the Devils, and it just kind of plummeted a bit. It seemed like.
He has the Norris Trophy. He was the Norris.
When was?
He
I
won
think
the Norris in 2013.
2013. That would have been before the.
But yes, that
That
was
would've
the
been
year
when he
that
was- he
Neil
would've-
Yakupov was the top draft pick.
Oh boy.
And that's the year Chicago beat Boston in the finals.
Yeah, he would have.
His
he would have
statistics-
been in Montreal at that point in time.
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
His
So that-
statistics are interesting because the year that he wins, oh, I know why. It's the shortened season one. 2013, 2012, 13.
Oh, that's where they had a lockout at the start of the year.
He had 38 points in 42 games. Now, if we're looking at his point totals, he seems to somewhat be okay in the pacing. He plays a few less games here and there, where he'll play only 60-some games instead of 82, where you could see the point totals not totally matching. His 3 years in... Well, let me compare his last 3 years in Montreal, okay? 53 points, 2013-14. 60 points, 14-15. And 51 points in 15-16. Decent numbers, honestly.
Yep.
His 3 years in Nashville, 40 points in 66 games. Not bad.
Good.
59 points in 82 games. That's pretty good. And then 31 points in 63 games. So it drops a bit there. Now, this is where it goes downhill for him. 68 games with the New Jersey Devils, 18 points. 79 penalty minutes.
That's brutal.
It's not... It's you don't like to see it like that.
I said,
it's
when they
just
traded
not.
him to New Jersey, it plummeted.
Well, yeah. But anyway,
It
so
shows with that.
let's talk about some other things right now.
The
The Calgary
Canucks.
The Calgary Canucks is what we might as well call them. We talk it's funny. There was jokes made about how they were trying to replicate the Hurricanes a while ago when they had that big
the
3-for-2 trade,
Yeah.
and then just how they were playing it. But now
Yeah.
they're just like, all right, that's a nice team you got there, Vancouver. Vancouver knows how to make it to the second round. You know what we should do? We should take all their players.
Yeah.
But you know what? And honestly, that
I
first game.
I like what Calgary's doing.
Here's the thing, though. That first game where Calgary plays in Vancouver with fans is going to be the weirdest thing ever. And now, a tribute to Louis Domingue, Jacob Markstrom, Chris Tanev, Josh Levo. They got to do a tribute, every TV timeout. And it's like, oh... It's like, and then you feel bad for guys like Josh Levo. It's like, oh, great, I gotta wait for the second period. Shows how much they love me. But anyway, no, I actually really like the moves that Calgary's made this offseason.
Yeah, one of the
It frustrates me
one
if
of
they're
the
going to be in a
issues
Canadian
Calgary's
division.
had-
But
one of the issues that Calgary has had, well, I mean, kind of since Kipper left, is that they've never really had the
goaltending?
the goaltending.
yeah, well, it's funny.
And they've had goalies that have done they've done
Mike
pretty
Smith
solid.
wasn't bad.
Mike Smith wasn't bad. Riddick kind of showed that he was doing pretty good at moments.
But he can't break out.
But yeah, exactly. That's what I said.
You
at
know what?
moments.
You know what he reminds me of? What David Riddick reminds me of? He reminds me of a guy like an Antti Ranta, where the guy where
That's
he's
fair,
played
yeah.
backup, but you're waiting for him to take the mantle,
He
to
just
be
doesn't
the number
take
one guy. And even guys now like Alex Stalock, we're seeing it, where they grabbed Cam Talbot to put him in front of Alex Stalock right when he was starting to be the starting goalie in Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's a young guy who
Minnesota
you
makes
think
sense.
it's finally his time to play the number one spot, and they just don't give it to him. They keep going for veteran guys, and it's weird because I didn't think David Riddick was that bad, honestly.
I thought he was okay.
No, and you know what? Fair credit to a team like Edmonton. Yes, they lost that series against Chicago probably because they played Mike Smith for Game 1. That's one of the reasons. Yes, they lost 3-1 in games, but the fact is that you probably win Game 1, or at least you do not lose it so badly if Mike Smith isn't in the net. Because Mikko Koskinen was the guy.
Kubalik got like 5 points, right?
Kubalik, yes, he did. He
sorry,
set a rookie record, and that was the game where I lost my goddamn mind because me and my buddy were watching it and we're like, how is this possible? How is this possible? Of course, we didn't know that the Montreal Canadiens were going to win later that day.
What was it, 5-0? Something like that?
No, it was like 7-4, 6-4, something like that. It was high scoring.
Jeez.
But yeah, but all their picks I really like from Calgary. Like, so let's go down some of the routes. So first off, they grab a guy who probably gave a lot of people a heart attack when they saw this signing. Nikita Nesterov. This is a funny one because the comment section tells us exactly how everyone felt about this. First off, he's wearing a Lightning jersey on this. His name is Nikita, and his last name starts with an E, starts with an Urov. So people were like, I literally had a heart attack and thought this was Nikita Kucherov. And I'm like, well, that would have been terrifying. So he's a good guy who's coming from the KHL. So, you know, he must be able to play forward. He's coming from the KHL.
Probably.
They're known for that.
Oh, have you looked into any of the KHL stuff recently, like in what's going on?
They just score. You just score. You go to KHL, you score a goal.
No. I mean, like, with like the way that they've played their games through COVID. It's an absolute disaster because they basically said screw it. If
the floor is yours.
Screw it. If they get COVID, they won't play. Like they literally have like their affiliates playing all their games. Like all of the players. Like they have so many players that are infected. They've literally just they don't care. Like, and it's funny they leave it up to the clubs to decide whether they'll have fans or not.
Wow.
And there's some that will like fill the stadium.
Yeah. So let's look around also at the other picks that Calgary's done.
It's not bad though. I actually did watch a little bit of the game.
Oh, that's nice. So Calgary signs Josh Leivo for 1 year at $875K. I'm a really big fan of Josh Leivo, actually. I've liked him ever since he was playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs. He was a guy who's one of those guys that needed to get cut off the Maple Leafs in the sense like a better version of Matt Martin because they were making budget cuts to sign those big name $11 million contracts. Also, just a side note, I was looking at this NHL Discussion released a thing about using the best contracts. Mark Scheifele's on it, ranked 4th with 4 more years at $6.125K. Not a single. Yeah.
Wait, did you say 6 more years?
No, 4 more years at $6.125K.
Oh, okay. I was about to say 6
And the
more
comment
years?
section had a person ask, "What about Mitch Marner?" And I said, "Guess what? You will never have a guy who's on his best contract when he's making $11 million, unless his name is Connor McDavid and he literally has gifted you a cup." Like your NHL be a pro. It's not. And he's not even in there. Draisaitl is though. But anyway.
Draisaitl's making what, $8.5 million?
Yes, 8.8. Yeah. But anyway,
of course.
Anyway, I digress. Josh Leivo, he played last year. He played 36 games, 7 goals, 19 points. Has NHL Discussion gave him an overall rating of 82. I really like the guy. Like honestly, he's a guy who kind of reminds me a lot of an Andrew Kopp. He's a third line guy. That really, if you give him the minutes, he can really show up if he needs to. And I think he's going to do all good things in Calgary. If I'm looking at Calgary, like, they didn't lose a lot this year, honestly. Yeah, like, we talked about how they were going to need to, like, dismantle the core and trade. No, they just bought people.
Yeah.
So next we have they signed.
I don't know if I'd say that. I don't remember.
A lot of people were thinking about how they can't win with this core because like guys like Johnny Gaudreau, Matthew Tkachuk, Mark Giordano, like they can't win with guys like that, and you know. And it is. So now they signed for 1 year Dominic Simone.
Give it time.
Dominic Simone for $700K for 1 year. So I don't know as much about him as I did about Levo. He's 26 years old. He put up 7 goals and 22 points in 64 games for Pittsburgh in 2019-2020. Pittsburgh fans are a big fan of this guy. Like, I've heard nothing but good things about him for the Pittsburgh fans. So, like, and a lot of Pittsburgh fans are like, are you going to re-sign Simon?
Do you know why they're a big fan?
Like, just because he's a hard-working guy, I think, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Like, a guy who really produces points. He also played, I believe, a little bit with Brandon Tanev, who's, in my opinion, the best third liner anywhere. Don't hate me.
Oh, that third liner used to have. Who was it that was
TLC. Tanev,
Lowry, and Kopp.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Now they also pick up a guy.
An unstoppable.
They also pick up a guy who who metrics don't have him as that much of a thing, but he's probably just more of a veteran presence than anything else. Joachim Nordstrom from the Boston Bruins for $700K. He had 7 points in 48 games last year, and his overall metrics are not great. However, you can't really get mad at somebody when the contract is $700K. That contract, by design, is easily waivable. So, like, if he doesn't perform, waivers, done. Like, it's nothing to get mad about, honestly. And they probably just want a veteran guy. They re-signed Mangiapane. Now, Mangiapane, fun fact, looks really suspiciously like Quinn Hughes. Oh. Doesn't he look like Diet Hughes? Google Mangiapane. He looks like Diet Quinn Hughes. They're re-signing him for 2 years at $2.425 million. Yep. They didn't tell me in NHL discussion what his stats were last year. But I will tell you this. I remember that guy.
It's kind of important.
I remember that guy from the series against Winnipeg. And he was just annoying to play against. Like, he was actually a difference maker on the ice there. And I think he'll help there too. Louis Domingue, as we said already in the goalie video, signed in Calgary for $700K.
Yeah, and that was
why? I get it. He's a good cook, but he's not that great of a goaltender. Like, think about the teams Louis Domingue has played on, and you've never seen him actually play there. He played on that legendary, amazing, like, Tampa team, but guess what? He was the guy in net when they lost. Like, 50% of the time they lost. They didn't lose a lot. But, like, yeah. So, is what it is. They signed Chris Tanev to $4.5 million at 4 years. Personal opinion, I don't get the hype as much, but maybe this is exactly why I don't get the hype as much, because he's, by definition, a defensive defenseman. 4.5, I guess I can't get too mad at that. 4 years seems like a bit of a stretch, but it doesn't actually say how old he is on here. Yep. But you know what, but like, they're trying to add defense to play, especially after losing TJ Brody for 4 years at $5 million to the Leafs.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how it goes. The big one for them is Jacob Markstrom for 6 years at $6 million. That contract is fine by me, honestly. Yeah. Paying a goaltender $6 million, probably, like, a good goaltender like Jacob Markstrom, that's probably the best contract you can give. I think Hellebuck makes around the same.
Yeah.
That being said, Matt Murray also makes around the same, and that doesn't look as great. But that's a different
now
thing.
That they're signing that now. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not even that they signed it earlier. It looked good when they signed it, and then it didn't work out. They're signing that now, and it doesn't look good now.
Yeah. So also the only guys they lose to free agency is a AHL type player, Alan Quinn, who signed in Edmonton for a year for $750K, and Mark Jankowski, who actually signs in Pittsburgh for $700K. So, you know what? Not a lot losing there. So they still get the draft pick they wanted in Connor Zary. Like, I think Calgary...
Yeah, Connor Zary, I've heard some interesting things about. One of the things that I heard about, I'm not sure if this is true, I heard that he apparently had some sort of attitude issues. So.
Well, we'll see, okay? Honestly.
Well, yeah, like I said.
There's always things that... It's funny. You always hear about attitudes from guys in junior hockey, but I think sometimes they get that reality check when they go up to the major league type thing.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's not something to really hold your head on. Now, do you want to talk about the contrast of that in the Vancouver Canucks?
Do you want to talk about Vancouver? Because Vancouver lost a lot this offseason.
Yeah, well, we already know what they lost.
But do you want to know? How do you think it'll impact them? Like losing Josh Levo hurts their bottom six.
Yeah.
They re-signed Jake Virtanen for $2.5 million.
That's fine.
They avoided arbitration for a 2-year deal.
Yeah.
He's solid.
And,
now there's some other picks. They re-signed Gaudette for 1 year at $950K.
What do you think of them signing Braden Holtby?
Wait, we talked about this in the goalie video.
Like, yeah, I guess.
I think it's funny.
First free agency video, we talk about all the goalies.
Yeah,
so.
it's literally called Roly Goalie Holy, which I thought was an amazing title. I probably got buyer's remorse on that one, but it's okay.
You always make the titles, so.
Bus? Me. But honestly, the one signing that I was...
I'm making you responsible.
Here's the thing that I saw interesting. There's this guy who got picked up by the Canucks named Jace Howerlick. And I've heard some hype around his name, honestly. Like, that he's probably, like, a really good player. He had 2 goals and 7 points in 11 games with the Senators last year. Why wouldn't you play that guy? If he has 9 points in 11 games, please play him. He's also from Roblin, Manitoba. So, seeing him play on a team like the Vancouver Canucks, who've got more places, like, more space now, that losing guys like Toffoli and stuff should be interesting. Oh... Here, what I saw today, the rumors that I saw today.
More rumors about Patrick Laine.
Yep, you are correct.
Yeah, what was it? Weren't the Wild somewhere in there?
So first off, it will likely cost... Here's some rumors around the league, courtesy of Puck Empire. It will likely cost the Dallas Stars $8 to $9 million to sign Miro Heiskanen into an extension. That makes sense.
Yeah.
The Sabres, Hurricanes, and Wild are some potential landing spots for Jets free forward Patrick Laine. The Anaheim Ducks have interest in Lightning forward Tyler Johnson, but only at a 50% salary retain and want a sweetener with him. The Nashville Predators are still working on trying to sign Anthony Duclair or Mike Hoffman. Mike Hoffman apparently is closing in on a deal with Boston. That's what I've heard from rumors. The Avalanche are expected to extend defenseman Devon Taves prior to the arbitration hearing on Saturday. Interesting. The Jets, Panthers, and Rangers are some potential landing spots for Hurricanes defenseman Jake Gardner. Buffalo Sabres could make a defenseman like Colin Miller or Brandon Montour for a draft pick. Could move them. The Flyers, Blackhawks, and Jets are some potential landing spots for Sabres defenseman Rasmus Ristolainen. The Pittsburgh Penguins have kept their eye on forward Eric Holla all offseason and have interest in signing him.
Ristolainen, he's not a free agent, is he?
No, but he's a defenseman who's been kind of like on the outskirts of it.
Buffalo's been looking to possibly trade him.
Buffalo's been looking to trade a lot of people.
Now, here's the question though. Because the Sabres have an interest in Patrick Laine, and they're looking to trade away a guy like Ristolainen,
I don't like that trade.
I don't like it either, but if it happens, how do you think Ristolainen would fit into the defense we have?
Overpaid.
How much is he getting paid?
He's making money. Like it's I shouldn't jump the gun here, but like
let's see how much he's getting.
I remember last year when
And what are we paying Laine right now? Like,
he's on a bridge.
He's on a bridge deal.
Yeah, Rasmus Ristolainen. What does he make? Oh, I could be wrong on his contract. Let me see here. Rasmus Ristolainen. It's funny because he's a defenseman on Buffalo, so it's really hard to gauge it. But he's making $5.4 million, pretty much.
It's not terrible.
It's not, but like, I don't know about it. Like, it's funny because like we have grabbed players from Buffalo before, but they always seem like gambles to me. He had 33 points in 69 games.
We got Tyler Myers from Buffalo, right?
Yeah, his best season. Yeah, his best season was 16-17 with 45 points. He's been around 40 points.
What else did we get from Buffalo? We traded away Kane.
We traded away Patrick Kane, Zach Bogosian, and a prospect that never really ended up developing for a first-round pick that would become Jack Roslovic, Brendan Lemieux, Drew Stafford, and Tyler Myers. And I think that's it.
Yeah, that was one of the.
That trade.
One of the reasons happened was because of the whole Evander Kane ordeal. That
yeah.
That was.
But anyway, So the Jets seem to be interested in defenseman right now. Now here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have a
Who
funny.
would have known?
Here's my funny thought. Okay. Do you think that these rumors just won't shut up because we have to wait so long until January starts? Like it's just that anxiety of needing better players.
That and also with kind of the lack of stuff that's going on right now.
Yeah.
People will try to find something to cling on to, like, oh, this has got to be in the discussion because nothing's happening.
Yeah, Eric Hall is another UFA actually
Yeah.
this year. I forgot to say.
Yeah, I remember the other day you were talking about how, and I had already said this, about how you now think the Minnesota Wild win that trade with Buffalo
I did say that.
because of the condition that Buffalo could not select Marco Rossi.
Well, they couldn't select a centerman, is what you're saying, which means they couldn't select Marco Rossi or Cole Perfetti.
Oh, was that the...
That would make more sense because if they had just said you can't pick Marco Rossi.
I thought that's what the condition...
Because here's my question. I think it's that they couldn't pick a centerman because Quinn's a winger.
Because you think they'd pick Perfetti over Jack Quinn?
I think they would. Also, the fact that they picked Jack Quinn is hilarious because they picked a guy on the same team as Marco Rossi with less points.
Yeah.
Which just on paper should never be something that you think is a good idea.
Yeah,
Like that is the most
that's-
easily comparable two individuals right there. And you went, see, I like that stat, but I'm going to ignore it. Like,
Going to the Edmonton Oilers.
like
I
literally
wonder how
every
that'll-
single variable is the exact same. And you said, nah.
Yeah. So basically, yeah, taking the weaker of the two, but...
Yeah, it's interesting to me, honestly. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not... This
Yeah,
here's
I
gonna
remember
be a-
watching the draft, and I was kind of confused by that one, just kind of like, there's a lot of great guys here, but doesn't quite add up.
Arbitration is starting up right now. Some
Whoa.
arbitration files
Yay.
have been well.
Exciting.
You say that, and like we still need to. The Jets still need to re-sign Jack Roslovic to a contract, and Jansen Harkins to a contract. Those are the two main ones, I believe.
Where do you think Harkins is gonna end up? Do you think he'll end up like as?
I like him.
I like Harkins,
really like
too.
him. Harkins to me has a
By the
very
way, one thing I would like to
hard-working
say,
persona, which we've said before.
really underrated in the NHL games. They gave him like a 72.
Well, here's the thing is that if he doesn't play enough minutes, he's never going to even get enough recognition.
Yeah, but,
Like, the NHL has a very cruel system to guys who don't play high minutes, like, on the bottom sixers. Because to the point is they'll just say that that's their top potential, which is infuriating, because it's like, that's not how anything works, NHL. But okay.
yeah.
Like, they'll just say they're stuck in developmental hell.
He's 25. He can't get better.
Actually, how old is Jansen Harkins?
I don't know how old he is, but I know that there's some players in the game that'll get like to 25 and it'll be like exact potential. Like,
Jansen Harkins is 23.
He's only 23?
Yep, 23, plays on the left wing. The guy I'm worried more, like, I haven't heard a lot of Christian Vesalainen, and I don't want to put him in developmental hell. We might have said this last week. If we did, I'm sorry. I forget. But, like...
I like Vesalainen.
But how? How do we know? We've never seen him play up.
Because...
He plays in the Moose, and he's not even the best guy there.
that's true.
Like, it's just...
Well, he looked great in the KHL, I will say that. I watched some
great.
games, him playing with Jokerit. Looked good.
Yeah. Right, was that him playing in Jokerit?
Yep, he played in Jokerit,
Okay.
yeah.
But yeah, like...
It's good he's not playing there now, though.
I don't know.
Oh, boy.
I don't know,
I'm
man,
telling you,
like,
the KHL right now is a mess. It is a mess.
So the Chicago Blackhawks are officially rebuilding. So apparently, of the four main pieces that are there,
Yeah,
Taves, Kane,
apparently
Seabrook,
they
and
did,
Keith. Do you know who's the most movable? They think.
Yeah.
Keith. Keith is the most willing to move, which makes sense to me because if
they're
Patrick,
not willing to move
they-
Seabrook.
they can't.
Oh, he isn't.
It's not that he
move clause, or?
Yeah, there's a lot of no movement clauses that won't be waived. Also, too, no one might want to take that contract, which is rough. Yeah, I know. But yeah, like arbitration filings are starting. So let's just give like a quick idea on what's gonna happen there. So arbitration is what happens when a restricted free agent has the right to have a better way to negotiate his contract. So sometimes So sometimes what that means is that, for example, sometimes you'll pick the amount of money in a reasonable facet, or it'll just get thrown out. And the other party will pick the terms. Now, this isn't a perfect system. Most famously, the Ottawa Senators bungled this so horribly with Mark Stone that he ended up becoming a UFA at the end of the year. But this can work. So right now, for example, just to give you an idea of the because the team will automatically pick a lower money than what they deserve, even though and it's not because they're lowballing them, it's because they know the player, no matter what, will pick a higher number than what they deserve, and they have to meet in the middle. So here's a perfect example. So Connor Brown from the Ottawa Senators filed for arbitration. He filed it. The team asked for 2.25 mil. Brown asked for 4.8. And then when he was signed, he made 3.6 for 3 years. So it just kind of meets in the middle. What's another one? There was one other one there. Tyler Bertuzzi filed for arbitration. There's no update on that right now. He's asking for 4.25 mil, and the team is saying 3.15 mil. So it's just like a system where just kind of it's a very negotiable thing, and then the people will hear it out and then make the decision.
The RFAs actually do get a little bit of power negotiating, which, I mean, they don't have a whole lot.
It is good that the RFA do get that, though, because other than, because, for example, an RFA has to sign that ELC contract for a reduced thing, because it's only fair. You can't make huge money right out of the gate. That's just not right.
Yeah, especially like...
In general, in your first 3 years, don't make big money. It doesn't matter if you're a star, but you're not making big money yet.
That'd be kind of funny though if they made big money, because Edmonton's like Nail Yakupov, first overall pick, $8 million, 8 years.
I have now I'm not sure about the
Who leads the
legitimacy, but there's a
NHL?
chance that the signings the Rick DiPietro crap is the reason why they can't that you have ELCs sign like that.
How much did he make out of the gates?
Doesn't matter. It was it's a stupid long contract. They might be still paying him to this day. I'm not sure.
Oh my god.
But yeah, I like that the RFAs do have a power, because after the ELC is done, there's still an RFA with the team. They can't just go away immediately. Not all RFAs have arbitration rights. Some do, some don't. I don't know the inner workings of that very, very well. So if you are interested in that, please go look into it. Things like Cat Friendly will let you know who has arbitration rights and who doesn't. It's such an easy system they do it on. But yeah, I think that'll end that for today. Please leave in the comments anything you'd like us to talk about, some signings that we maybe didn't touch on as much, or just some things that...
Other news.
Yeah, other news that you want our opinions on.
Yep.
So, if you enjoyed watching this video, please like, share, and subscribe. Tell everyone about it, because we are really trying to grow the channel. We are happy for all the new subscribers that we've got recently. And do follow us on Instagram. That is correct. And we will see you next week with our next episode of the podcast. Or sooner if something crazy happens.